Welcome to RUD TV. Today we will show you how to select the right lifting point for lifting loads. There are weldable and boltable lifting points. When do I use what?
Schweißbare und schraubbare Anschlagpunkte. Wann nehme ich was?
Basically, we can say that weldable lifting points are always used when they are to remain permanently attached to a load. In contrast, the boltable lifting points offer significantly greater flexibility due to the different possibilities to select thread sizes. This means that they can be flexibly mounted and removed and can be used several times.
When I choose a lifting point, which question should I ask myself first?
The most important question should always be the weight or tonnage of the load to be lifted. Lifting points exist in different sizes and with different WLLs. In general, it is always important to ensure that the lifting point is designed for the weight of the load. Furthermore, it is important to know how many lifting points can be used for the lifting process. If you use a boltable lifting point, the thread type and thread size are also important.
Does the type of lifting point play a role?
Absolutely. Sometimes it happens that a load is very close to another load and thus the overall height should be very low. Thus a lifting point with a lower overall height. On the other hand, it can happen that there are contours on the load that interfere and thus the overall height of the lifting point needs to be selected rather higher. So, the overall height definitely matters.
What other parameters are important?
Another important point is whether the load needs to be rotated or turned. There are lifting points that are particularly suited for rotating and turning. And there are others that aren't. If you take, for example, our load ring family with ball bearings, you can say that these are particularly well suited for this. Thanks to the ball bearing, the forces resulting from lifting are converted shock-free into a rotating movement. This makes shock-free turning and rotating of loads simple and easy. Furthermore, when rotating and turning, you have to ensure that not all strands and also lifting points are bearing weight at the same time. It is precisely these differences in WLL that must be taken into account in the design and calculation.
If I have found the ideal lifting point, is there anything I need to take into account for the chain suspension?
In general, we can say that the chain suspension must be adapted to the number of lifting points, as well as to the tonnage. You can find more details about this in our separate video on the correct layout of chain suspensions.
Thank you very much for your attention. You can find more information on the topic of lifting and moving loads on our website.
Auf unserer Website.